I'm Max Lopez. This is the Blue Wave. We're going to take a look at a clip here of what I believe is Tim Walz's strongest moment that he had during the debate last night with JD Vance, where he very much brings up the concern of if JD Vance accepts the 2020 election results, given the role that Donald Trump wanted Mike Pence to play in overturning the results of the 2020 election by not certifying the electoral votes in a largely ceremonial role that the vice president plays in transferring power from one administration to the next, and is very telling about what JD Vance would do if he was told to do what Mike Pence ultimately decided not to do if JD Vance and Donald Trump were to be elected president and vice president of the United States. So let's go ahead and look at this clip here.
And it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Has she?
And it manifested itself because of Donald.
So you hear him say there, that is a damning non-answer. He asks JD Vance, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? And you hear Vance there say, Tim, I'm focused on the future, yada, yada, yada about Kamala Harris, totally sidestepping the question. This is problematic for a lot of reasons, but none other than Donald Trump's apparent dislike of American democracy and dislike of the peaceful transfer of power. Just recently, Donald Trump was also asked at a speech he was giving, is your trust in the process of voting, is it any higher than it was in the 2020 election? And what Trump says is, we'll see in 33 days, basically insinuating that, well, it depends on how the results of the election go. If I win, then I'll accept the results of the election. If I lose, then I'm going to cause trouble and say that it was fraudulent. This is a very, very concerning stance to take in a system of democracy where the person who gets the most votes and the person who wins the electoral college is to be the next administration. This causes a huge concern and highlights Donald Trump's inability to accept the 2020 election results when every single person that was around him, when he was continually challenging the results of the election, every single person around him kept saying over and over and over again, Trump, you lost. And Trump took it to court where there was 40 different lawsuits, in fact, that were filed challenging the results of the election. And 38 of them failed. The two that Donald Trump won allowed poll watchers to stand about 25 or 50 feet closer than they were previously allowed to stand, and had nothing to do with overturning any specific results of any election. So what the truth shows is very clear, is that Donald Trump did lose the 2020 election and was elected by Joe Biden was elected by the American people to be the next president. That is very, very clear. When we are just about a month out here from the election, in a system where in a system that requires the peaceful transfer of power to continuously happen, if we are to say that we are in a democracy and we are to rule by vote of the people, we have to have candidates that accept the results of these elections that we're having. And JD Vance's inability to accurately portray the result of the 2020 presidential election, very much cast doubt on his ability to do so in this upcoming election in 2024. And if Trump and Vance were to win in this election in 2024, and let's say that the Republicans were to lose in 2028, would Donald Trump and JD Vance accept those results? Most likely not. Almost certainly not. And it appears that JD Vance has a different philosophy when it comes to standing up for democracy and standing up for country over party than Mike Pence did in 2020. And we know that Mike Pence was essentially the last line of defense there against Trump and a Trumpist takeover, a Trumpist authoritarian movement, and a government that is represented by the will of the people, and where we have elections that dictate who is in power. Mike Pence was the last line of defense there, and who knows what would have happened if Mike Pence decided to go along with Trump's plan to not certify the results of the election. And if JD Vance was in that role and JD Vance was in that position, what would he do? It seems like he would certainly go with Donald Trump over country. And that is a very concerning development in a country where we are striving to have a democracy and have had a democracy, in fact, and a peaceful transfer of power longer than any other nation in the world. We invented the idea of having elections and having a government that is represented by the people deciding through elections. So yeah, this is maybe not surprising, but I think this is the moment that is going to stick in a lot of people's heads. This is what pushed Walz over the edge to me in the debate. We had a very slick talking JD Vance who lied and lied and lied throughout the debate, but presented the lies in such a way that was much more palatable and understandable than Donald Trump. But on this one issue, I think that this is going to stick out because a lot of Americans remember the chaos of that day of January 6th. And those images are burned into our minds of the Capitol being stormed and overtaken by that mob of protesters. And we all know Mike Pence's role on that day. But if somebody was to be in Mike Pence's role, that was to go along with Donald Trump's takeover of the government, we might be living in a very, very different country right now. And it doesn't bode well for democracy that the vice president of one of the candidates of one of the two major parties that represent the people of this country is saying that he can't say yes or no as to what the results of the 2020 election were. Very, very, very concerning. But perhaps not surprising, given that we know that JD Vance kisses Donald Trump's ass on quite literally every single issue that there is out there. So that's all I got for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with someone who's into politics. It helps YouTube take my channel more seriously. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. Until then, have a great one. Peace.